We are starting here into Unit 2, which is all about equations. And today we are going to do Section 2.1, Writing and Interpreting Equations. So let's start with this first one. So a mathematical statement. So an equation is a mathematical statement that contains two expressions and an equal sign. Okay? Two expressions and an equal sign. Now, when we look at an equation, some things that will help us write a sentence as an equation, a story problem, those types of things. The first thing we want to do is we always want to identify what the unknown is and assign a variable to it. So what letter are we going to say equals the number of whatever? Okay, step 2, identify the givens and their relationship. In other words, go through the problem, circle things, underline, highlight, or even off to the side, write what you know. Step 3, write the sentence as an equation. Put it back together how the sentence is saying it. All right, so let's write an equation. So a math sentence with an equal sign from the sentence. So let's go through. So we're going to go through and just kind of circle some things like that. So here I'm going to start in, I see the word 20 minus, that means subtraction, the quotient, that means division of 7 and x. So 7 over x is the same as, so there's my equal sign, twice x. Now, what does twice mean? Twice means that we multiply x by 2. So if we start in then, let's write the equation. It's going to look like this. 20 minus 7 divided by x is 2x. And there's our equation. Let's try the next one. 4 times multiplication, a number less, so 4 times a number less, that means subtraction, 10 is equal to 16. So let's see if we can match that up. So 4 times a number less 10 equals 16. And there it would be, A. Okay, because we have 4x, 4 times x, less 10 equals 16. Let's try this next one. So this one is based off of a story problem here. It says life online of 799 teens surveyed. That's probably important. So 799 teens surveyed about what they do online. Some, we don't know how many, but some use a social network. Of those on a social network, 430 say people their age are mostly kind. Online, and the remaining 193 do not. Write an equation to find the number of teens surveyed who are not on a social network. So what are we looking for? We are looking for the ones that are not on social network. Okay, identify the givens. So let's go through some givens. How many teens were surveyed? Well, up there at the very beginning, it says 799. Some of the teens use a social network, which means also some don't. We don't know how many. Okay, and then it says blank of those on social networks say that they're mostly kind. So if we look back, it says 430 said that they're mostly kind. 193 say that they're not. So we need to write an equation now for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to assign a variable. So let's just use n, okay? N's going to represent not on a social network. All right, so if we think here, to write our equation, we're going to start off and we're going to look at the total. How many total were surveyed? 799. Now, how am I getting that total? Well, I'm going to take the 430 that said they were mostly kind. I'm going to take the 193 that said they're not kind plus something else. What's the other piece? The other piece is the number that is not on a social network. And that would be the equation for this situation. 430 plus 193 plus n equals 799. And then at that point, we would go through and solve it if we were asked to, but this time we're not. We're just writing the equation of it, okay? Let's try this next one. So this time, let's see if we can figure this one out. E2 has read 12 of the 32 chapters in his assigned book. He plans to finish the book by reading C chapters each day for 8 days until the book is due. Which equation best represents the situation? Okay, so let's kind of think about this here. So when we look, 32, that's our total. So what that means is all of these are correct so far because we should have it equaling 32. The second thing I notice is that they have read 12 so far. So we should all have the 12 to start. Now, here's what we have to ask. If they're going to read C chapters each day for 8 days. So let's say they read 2 chapters a day for the next 8 days. How many chapters did they read? Well, that would be 2 times 16, 2 times 8, which would be 16 chapters. Okay. So what we're doing there is we're reading how many chapters and multiplying it by 8. So right away, I know I can get rid of this one, and I know I can get rid of that one because that's division, not multiplication. Now, the next thing I need to know is once I figure out how many more chapters they're reading, am I going to add that on to what they read already, or am I going to subtract it? And the answer is we're going to add that on, right? So that would be our equation that fits us. 12 plus 8c equals 32. All right, so let's try a geometry one. It says the perimeter of a rectangle is twice, 2 times, the sum, remember that means groupings with an addition, of the length and the width. Okay. So identify the unknowns. So let's define some variables. Let P equal the perimeter. Let L equal the length. That's an unknown. We don't know what it is. And let W represent the width. Now let's identify the given and the relationship. Twice means 2 times it. Twice the sum means you need to add first, then multiply by 2. So you need to add the length and width first. So now let's write the equation. So what we know is we know that the perimeter is equal to 2 times the sum of the length plus the width. And there would be our equation. All right, so let's try this one. The horsepower of a motor is the product. Remember, product means multiply of the motor speed and the torque divided by 5252. So the first thing I notice right away is this one has 5252 in the bottom. We're dividing by it. This one doesn't, so I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to get rid of that one, and this one does. Okay? Now, the next thing I check is the beginning of the sentence. It says, the horsepower of a motor is the product. I'm multiplying 2 things together, speed and torque. So here in this first one, I only have 1 letter, so that's definitely not here. Here in the second one, I'm multiplying N times T, so it has to be B there. Okay? So that's how we can kind of weed it out if given a multiple choice. All right, let's try this next one now. So it says plain and cinnamon raisin bagels are the most popular flavors. Each year, the number of packages of plain bagels that are sold is 24 million more than the twice the number of the packages of the cinnamon raisin bagels that are sold. Okay, so let's just put this in words for a second. When I look at this, I know that the plain is equal to 24 million more than twice the cinnamon. Okay, so I'm just restating that sentence. Now, next thing we know, there were 136 million packages of plain. So 136 plain ones sold. Create an equation that can be used to find the number of millions of packages of cinnamon raisin. So what we're going to do is we're going to let C equal the cinnamon raisin ones. Okay, so let's translate this in then. Do I know how many plain ones there were? You bet. I sold a total of 136 million. That's going to equal 24 million. Okay, so 24 more than means addition. Twice means 2 times it. 2 times what? The cinnamon. So 2C. And there would be our equation. Okay? Now, these are going to be very similar to what we did with expressions. Can you write a sentence for them? So here it would be something like 2 times Z minus 1 equals 5. Okay, next one, if we look at this one, we have 6 times Z minus 15 equals 45. Let's go to the next one. Now this time we need to make sure we get the grouping here. So here we might say something like the sum of y and 3 squared equals 25. Okay, let's take a look. Here we got another grouping. We're going to use that same word. So we have 3 times the sum of y and 1 is 12. And that's how we would write those sentences down. And that is what we're going to start off with when we look at how to write equations and interpret them.